Hello, Joe.
Hey, Alex. What's up?
How are you today?
I'm fine.
How are you feeling?
What's going on? Shut the f*** up.
Beyond the Black Rainbow is about a psychic girl trapped in a sketchy scientific institute in the 1980s. A creepy scientist studies her, and that's most of the movie. I mean, there's lots of dark synth music. The girl tries to escape, the scientist shaves his head at one point, and we see that he went into some black goo or something. You know what? This movie is basically just a montage of 80s fever dream nightmare. Oh my gosh! That was kind of creepy.
Hello from VidCon.
Yes,
20
here.
2017?
2017, though you'll probably see this by the time VidCon 2019 rolls around. You know us.
Yeah, at the rate that I put out videos, there'll probably be like, this will really date this video, and it'll show people how long it takes me to edit these videos.
Yeah.
Especially considering that I'm working on like 3 different videos right now. So this probably won't come out for like 6 months.
Yeah, we'll see. So yeah, if you hear any noise in the background, that's people having fun. We're not. We're here.
No, we decided to skip out on the Caligula party going on outside. So we could begin here talking about movies.
Specifically, Beyond the Black Rainbow. So let's get into it.
The first time I saw this, I thought, this is an Alex movie. Specifically because it looks like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie.
Yeah, that's what I was just talking about it too. Is that it's like a Nicholas Winding Refn movie, but on steroids.
But I mean, at the same time, you can draw comparisons to Nicholas Winding Refn, but it's very distinctly its own thing, especially the 80s setting and the nostalgia factor, just in the way it looks and the grain.
Yeah, exactly. The cinematography, it looks older, and that's of course that's what they were going for. But yeah, it definitely does have that nostalgia factor, kind of as a part of it.
I'd actually argue if you compare this to other nostalgia-esque kind of exploitation movies that try to look like those 80s films, you can compare it to Grindhouse, you compare it to Hobo with a Shotgun, Machete, those films that try to emulate that look. I think this one does a better job than most films that I see like that.
There's a lot of grain, there's a lot of distortion, I guess you could say, but a lot of noise. But yeah, all of that helps to just like kind of make the movie seem a lot more dated. Isn't really the kind of thing you want to go, isn't really the word I want to go with, but it just looks makes it look like it's older.
It has long been my dream to find the perfect way for people to achieve simply happiness, contentment, inner peace.
The color is really interesting because it's kind of like Only God Forgives, where you have scenes that are completely covered in red. But it kind of fits thematically for the movie. So for instance, you have Dr. Lyle, and he's interviewing this girl, Elena. And whenever he's interviewing her, he's always covered in a red light.
Yeah, he's in a very dark background, in a dark room, where she's in a very white, very well lit room.
Yeah, very soft blues and whites and happy, nice colors.
Well, I wouldn't say it was so much like happy colors, but like it's either the very like dark and like kind of vibrant reds, or you have the very like blank white backgrounds.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily like a happy color, but it feels more as a yeah, no, I completely lost my train of thought there. I don't know where I was going.
Alex recognizes that it's doing something. He just doesn't know what.
Yeah, I didn't think that far ahead when I started talking.
Suicide.
One thing I did notice, and I don't know what the significance of this is, and sound off in the comments if you're smarter than us, which you probably are.
We are the film illiterates.
Yeah, we're
After all.
idiots. Whenever Dr. Lyle goes home, it's very natural colors. You have skin tones and greens and some tans. It's the only time that the film doesn't look like it's completely bathed in one kind of color or another.
It's going from the world of the facility, the world of the Arborea facility and the labs and everything they have there, and it's going back to his own home. It's still sort of part of Dr. Lyle's world, but it signifies that it's just barely outside of it in the shift in the color palettes.
Gained the lead.
Another part where the movie steps outside of the kind of world of Dr. Lyle and the world of the outside of the world of the Arborea facility is when Elena escapes. But that part's really only in the kind of last 10-15 minutes or so of the film, and it takes a really different like tonal shift. Is that one that I feel is warranted, because you're stepping outside of kind of everything that's known, everything about like, because the entire movie you're inside the Arborea facility or you're in Dr. Lyle's house, which is, I could still say, you know, kind of stylistically, thematically, still part of the Arborea facility. But once you step outside of that, it shifts. Not so much in style, though the vibrant colors from the lab and facility aren't there any longer. It goes more towards a natural color palette that you would find out in the wilderness at night.
Here's my thing with the ending here.
Let's pivot. Let's pivot.
It is very stylistically different from the rest of the movie. And the first time I watched it was very jarring. This time I knew to expect that, but I'm still not convinced it works entirely. I think a good comparison you can make is to Joe Dante's film Explorers. Explorers is a film about a bunch of kids who they kind of discover how to build a bubble. They can travel around and they find out they can, fly out into space in it.
All right.
And the whole film has a very E.T. kind of vibe. It's about wonderment and finding the unknown and is there other life out there. And it's a very kind of restrained movie about children discovering this other world.
All around the world, rock and roll is all in play. All around the world, rock and roll is all in play.
They find the aliens, and the aliens are like cartoon caricatures who make television references, and it's the goofiest, weirdest thing, and it's completely jarring to the rest of the movie. Now, many people hate the ending to that movie because of that, and I understand that. Me, I kind of like it because I'm a big Joe Dante fan, and I feel like he's just kind of trolling the audience. Like, what is behind this curtain? oh, it's a bunch of Teletubbies, essentially.
Yeah.
But it didn't work for me in this film. I think because, unlike Joe Dante, he has comedic sensibilities and he makes these kind of goofy movies anyway, I felt like he's just having fun. Whereas this film, I felt like was trying to say something, and it's always on the verge of something very important, you know, and you're trying to interpret what all these scenes mean. What is Dr. Lyle trying to get at? What's the deal with him turning into this man-eating monster, but at the same time, he's philosophizing and trying to control Elena.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the movie just kind of turns into a slasher film in the last like 15 minutes.
What the
I wasn't completely in love with the ending. I wish there was more to it. I wish, you know, we got to see final confrontation between Elena and Dr. Lyle. I wish there was a little bit more to that, because that takes, once he finally catches up with her, that takes all of like 2 minutes. I mean, that's like 2 minutes out of like the 10 or 15 that, you know, that happened after she finally like escapes the facility. I'm okay with it turning into a little bit of a slasher flick at the end, because we did have a little bit, at least one other scene of kind of extreme violence in which Elena kills, I think her name was Margot. She's like, yeah, basically like blows her eyes out.
There's some great nightmare imagery in this movie.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of my problems with the tonal shift boil down to not the fact that there's graphic violence in the end, because like you said, there were some moments earlier with some graphic violence in there.
Nothing the god of biomechanics wouldn't let you in heaven.
But just the fact that this whole movie is a very ethereal movie. It's more of an experience than something you're supposed to follow plot-wise. I mean, there is a plot and you can follow it pretty easily, but the whole movie just kind of flows together as almost like a drug-induced stupor, kind of.
Yeah.
In the rest of the movie, all these characters are talking like, you know, Elena, how are you doing today? Let's talk about this. I'm philosophizing about things in a pretentious film student kind of way.
Hello, Elena. How are you today? How are you feeling?
And then all of a sudden, it's like hillbillies will like go.
I gotta take a leak. Thanks for telling me.
Get bent fat. And it's like it's such. It's like, oh, that doesn't sound like that belongs to the same kind of movie we're just watching.
Well, maybe it's contrasting the kind of steadied pace and quietness of the facility to the crassness and, you know, bluntness of the outside world.
And that might be it. And again, maybe it works for other people just fine.
Yeah.
Just for me, it just felt kind of out of the blue. Like, that's kind of ugly compared to what we've been seeing so far.
Maybe that's the point. The real world's ugly.
Double kill.
Go in the comments and tell me what an idiot I am for not
Yell at Joe.
appreciating that. Yeah, in the trench coat.
Oh my gosh. I liked it. It was good. I like the visuals. I love the soundtrack. It's done by what is his name? Something Schmidt. Dude from from Black Mountain. It's a great psychedelic rock band. But soundtrack was great, visuals great, acting was great. Story was an interesting part in that it's one of those movies where it leaves me wanting more. Like, I want a documentary on Arborea.
The National Science Foundation had invited me to Antarctica, even though I left no doubt that I would not come up with another film about penguins. Is there such thing as insanity among penguins?
So I mean, yeah, I'm interested. I like the film. It was good. It worked for me.
know more about old guys who get drugs shot into their toes.
That was awful. That scene was awful. Oh,
that's wonderful.
I struggle with wondering whether the movie feels like it has more to say than it actually does, which is the case with quite a few of these very stylized movies. Oh, we're very important. Look, we're doing important things. There's pretty visuals, and
it's more important. It acts more important than it really is.
Yeah, but I don't quite get that with this one. I feel like this is coming from a filmmaker who genuinely has something very personal to say. And if you look up the making of the movie and this guy's background, this was kind of a personal project for him.
Yeah, it was made really, I guess you could say, in tribute or just in memory of his parents' passing.
Yeah, and in some cases, even that doesn't work. For instance, Andrei Tarkovsky's film, The Mirror. I'm not a big fan of that because I feel like it's a very personal film to Tarkovsky, where he's pulling out of his past and his feelings and his emotions, so much so that I didn't really get anything out of that film, but I recognize that someone else is. And of course, some people get a lot out of The Mirror if they connect to Tarkovsky's experiences specifically. But this is a sort of film that's kind of in between the two, where I think it has some really interesting, cool things to say for people other than just the filmmaker.
Yeah.
And despite it being a very personal movie, it is a very interesting movie. And I enjoyed thinking about it, and I'll probably watch it again in another couple years and get more out of it, or less, if my opinion changes. I think as a whole, the movie works very, very well as just a kind of hypnotic experience to sit down and watch. So if for nothing else, enjoy watching the movie for the visuals and the color and the style and the music.
Yes.
And if you get something more out of it, then all the better.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
if you're bored during it, I don't blame you at all.
I blame you. What's wrong with you? You don't like good movies? What's up, man?
No, they don't like good movies. That's why they watch our YouTube channel.
Oh. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you're an idiot if you're watching our video.
Take this away. No, 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 no. I feel good too. Can't take this away. Can't take this away. Thank you guys. You guys having fun at VidCon so far? Awesome, I love your energy. I'm gonna bring it back down.